And we're back on Sportsman Radio. I'm your host, Chris, and we have Mr. Doug Baldwin on the air. Hey, Doug, how's it going?
Hey, Chris, how you doing, my man?
Pretty good. How's your off-season going?
It's going great. I finally got home, spending some time with my family.
Hey, doesn't seem like it could get any better.
No, not at all.
Alright, you about ready to get this interview started, man?
Yeah, man, whenever you're ready.
Alright, let's do it. This was your first year in the NFL before you attended Stanford University. First off, can you tell us how was getting your education at a great school like Stanford?
I mean, that's what it all comes down to, man. You know, growing up, I was always raised upon the idea, the moral that education comes first. You know, and so when I had an opportunity to attend Stanford University, one of the most prestigious universities in the world, you know, I had to take full advantage of it. And I was just blessed with that opportunity. And like I said, it was an amazing university. And I take away from that, they always preach that it's not a 4-year commitment, it's a 40-year commitment. And I stand by that with Stanford University.
All right, and of course, we know you played football there with some great players, including Andrew Luck. What did you think about playing on the same team as Andrew Luck?
I mean, everything that's been said about this guy, you can't say it enough. He's a great role model, a great leader, obviously a great football player, a great athlete. His dedication and commitment to excellence and to consistency is shown why he's going to be the number one overall pick in the NFL draft. You know, and his ability to be a quarterback, just to be on the field with him was an unbelievable experience, and obviously I benefited from a lot of his passes at Stanford.
All right, so you see him being drafted as the number one overall pick by the Colts, correct?
I do. I mean, whether it's the Colts who draft him or if they trade the pick to somebody, I believe Andrew will be the number one overall pick.
All right, because it's been seeming like that all season, but RG3 at the Combine, that really threw a lot of people off.
You know, and rightfully so. RG3 came out and he dominated at the Combine. You know, obviously they didn't throw, but they've shown the ability to be able to make throws in games, which is more important. You know, to me, the Combine really has nothing to do with football. It's just a measure of athletic capability. And, you know, I had a hard time. I was always defending Andrew. Everybody said that he was, you know, a clone of Peyton Manning. But if you look at what he did at the Combine, all his numbers were up there in comparison to Cam Newton. And we all know Cam Newton is a very athletic person, a very athletic player. So, you know, I think whoever gets Andrew Luck is not only getting a stellar quarterback, both physically and mentally, but they're also getting an athlete who can slide out of the pocket and make plays with his feet.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely a very, very good athlete, and I'm pretty sure any team wants him right about now.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, he's a phenomenal quarterback, phenomenal person, and whoever's getting Andrew Luck will be getting a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, most definitely. All right, so right now you play for the Seattle Seahawks. You just finished up your rookie season, leading the team with 51 receptions, over 780 receiving yards, and four receiving touchdowns. That's very impressive, especially to see someone who's coming into the league undrafted. Did you try sending a message to all the teams that passed you up in the draft?
Well, that wasn't necessarily my state of mind. You know, I guess going into the season, going into camp, I was more worried about proving to myself that I belonged. You know, to me, it was kind of a situation where I was like, you know, I have 32 teams who passed me up, who didn't think I was good enough to get, you know, to draft me. So I'm sitting here. I was sitting at a restaurant waiting for my name to be called. You know, I kind of had doubts of myself, and so going into camp, you know, it wasn't really my mindset out to prove anybody else wrong. It was more so to prove myself right, that I was capable of playing at the highest level.
All right, and did not being drafted in the NFL affect your game plan in any way?
Yeah, to be honest with with you, I really didn't have a game plan. You know, I was this business that's called the NFL is so unpredictable. So, you know, you just have to play it by ear, and day by day things that happen. So, you know, I was just waiting to hear my name called, and then, you know, once I didn't hear my name called, things just had to adapt. I had to keep training and keep working out because I had beliefs that somebody was going to give me an opportunity in camp. You know, obviously that wasn't guaranteed, but with the interest that Seattle and some other teams had shown during the draft, even though they told me that they weren't going to draft me, I felt like, you know, I would still have an opportunity. So that my game plan was just to continue to stay in shape and keep working hard so that when I got my opportunity, I could take full advantage of it.
All right, now I know you said you didn't have a message to send to any of the teams, but before every game, did you have a message to send? Did you always want to maybe have a special sort of impact you'd like to put on the field? Was there anything you would like to just send a message to the team after knowing that you're on a team already?
No, you're not going to get me to put any billboard information up, but, you know, like I said, the only thing that I had out going for me was I was proving to myself that I was capable of playing at this level, and, you know, I feel like I've proved to myself that I can speak with some of the greats in this game, but obviously there's a lot to go, miles and miles to go before we sleep, so, you know, I'm just anxious to continue to grow and progress and continue to be consistent and be better and consistent at the same time.
What do you think about the Seattle Seahawks franchise? What do you think about their fans?
Oh, the fans are unbelievable, man. I've never experienced anything like this before. You know, from being in the stadium to walking around in the city to fans on Twitter showing their support. It's unbelievable. You know, and obviously I had a great fan base at Stanford, but Seattle Seahawks is by far one of the best organizations I've ever heard about or been around.
All right, and of course I have to get into this Peyton Manning story. As we all know, it doesn't look like he's going to be with the Colts next season, and one of the teams that it looks like has a pretty good chance of getting him if he doesn't go to the Colts and stay with the Colts is your team, the Seattle Seahawks. How would you feel about having a great quarterback such as Peyton Manning being on your team, throwing you the ball?
I mean, obviously it would be a completely different experience, you know. Personally, I love Jackson. That's my quarterback, you know, and what he was capable of doing this year with a torn pec and, you know, just going out there and battling like a warrior, game in every Sunday, you know, that meant a lot to his teammates and especially to me as being his wide receiver, one of his wide receivers. You know, and if Peyton came in, you know, a lot of things would have to change. We'd probably have to change the system. You know, he probably wouldn't be here for more than 2 years. You know, I don't want to get into all the different scenarios and things that are going on, but, you know, as it stands right now, Jackson is my quarterback, and I'm completely happy with that.
All right, and of course you're working with a great wide receiver core with wide receivers such as Sidney Rice, Golden Tate, yourself. Have you learned anything from those guys?
Oh, definitely. I mean, every day that I'm out there talking to those guys, you always pick up something that you've never heard of before, that you can critique on something that you're working on. You know, for instance, during the season, I was having a hard time reading coverages from the slot position at times, and Mike Williams was instrumental in helping me understand the different concepts and ignoring the disguises that the defensive backs were doing and focusing my reads on the linebackers and the defensive line, which I had never done before in college. You know, in college, the guys were less prone to disguise their coverage because they had to be there so quickly. But, you know, in the NFL, everybody's fast. So it doesn't matter where they are, they can get to their spot pretty quickly. So, you know, like I said, Mike Williams was instrumental in helping me recognize coverages.
All right, and of course, before the show, I looked up your stats, and I've seen that you only took one punt return this season, and I think it was for about 37 yards. Do you plan on trying to get any more punt returns, kick returns next season? I know it's pretty tough with the great returner with Justin Forsett, but you think you're going to try to get more kick returns?
I mean, wherever coach needs me to be to help the team win. You know, obviously, it doesn't matter where I'm at. I love playing special teams because special teams is a completely different part of the game. But, you know, we have, like you said, Justin Forsett and all Deion Washington, one of the great returners that's ever played the game. And, so we all have complete confidence in those guys back there. So when they touch the ball, there's nobody that does that. So, hopefully I can be one of the guys on the front line blocking for them.
I'm sure you're willing to do anything for the team. That's right, correct?
Oh, of course.
All right, so Coach tells you to go out there on defense, play quarterback. You're willing to do that, correct?
Of course, and I don't think he'll ever do that. But I wouldn't mind getting behind center and throwing a couple balls to City, right?
I mean, you guys got some great cornerbacks. Even, you got a former Pro Bowler, Marcus Trufant, who used to be one of the best in the game and still had lots of talent. So I'm pretty sure if Coach would ever want to do that to you, you could learn from a pretty smart cornerback.
Oh, definitely. I mean, like you said, Marcus Trufant, his name has been in the NFL for a while as one of the greats at the cornerback position. So, I pick his brain even now. Every day when we're out there during camp, I used to ask him, what can I do to get better? What does he see that I need to improve on? So, definitely, even if I'm on the offensive side of the ball, I still pick his brain.
I meant to mention this earlier before we started about the whole quarterback situation. Even when you mentioned Tavarius Jackson had a torn muscle and still played through it, even when Tavarius Jackson missed some games, that backup Charlie Whitehurst, he still played. He played pretty phenomenal for being a backup quarterback.
Oh, for sure. But, that's what you want from your backup quarterback. You want him to be able to come in and not lose a step. And obviously, with the things that he was able to do throughout the season, the coaching staff, and the players on the team all had confidence that he could fill that role without missing a step.
Yeah, I mentioned this on my show a lot. I'm from Chicago. I'm a Bears fan, and we didn't get that. We didn't get that luck where our backup quarterback came in and was effective. And you played in the game against us in Chicago. What do you think about Chicago?
Chicago is one of those teams. They're real sneaky. Everybody knows about their cover 2 defense. They've been doing that since I don't know when, but they've perfected that, and it's kind of different because teams all have different coverages and different schemes that they use, but they don't really disguise things that much. They have their cover 2 defense that they base things out of, and they do it so well that it's kind of hard just to get around it, even though you know it's coming. And that's obviously, we know that Chicago's had a great defense for a while, so that's just a tribute to the way they play football.
Yeah, it was definitely a tough day to be a Chicago Bears fan that day. Did you ever get to take a look at that replay? One of your guys delivered a monster hit on Johnny Knox and just messed up his spine. Were you able to see that?
Yeah, I was paying attention to the game on the sideline, and it was a devastating hit. And unfortunately, things like that happen in the game of football.
Right.
All of us were worried about him when it happened. A lot of guys, all of us, pretty much got on a knee and said our prayers for him because even though they're on the opposite side of the team or opposite side of the field on another team, they're still our coworkers, our people that we admire and we talk to and we mingle with and socialize outside of the field. So, he's a dear friend to a lot of guys, and obviously we were worried about him and was just praying for his recovery, his quick recovery.
All right, final question before we let you go, Doug. What do you do before or during every game? You got a teammate, a phenomenal running back, Marshawn Lynch. This Skittles thing, it's become a huge story. Do you eat Skittles before or during the game?
No, I don't. I eat gummy bears. That's my thing. I think everybody has some vice that they use to, that they've had since they were little, or something that they do just to keep their mind off the nervousness of the game. And so I eat a couple gummy bears before I go out there.
I believe Marshawn Lynch actually had his own pair of cleats customized, made. They were Skittles cleats. Is that correct?
Yes, they are.
Didn't he end up getting a fine for that? I believe it was like about a $7,500 fine. Is that right? Something around like that.
You know, I'm not allowed to discuss any fines or anything that goes on with other players, so I wouldn't know about any of that.
All right. Well, I had one question sent to me through Twitter. It was just a really quick question from @Fantasy Greek. It said, for Doug Baldwin, what was the biggest adjustment you had made from the college to the pro game?
Biggest adjustment is probably the toll on the mind. You know, the game of football at the NFL level is, to be honest with you, it's not that much different physically, besides the fact that you're playing 4 more games, or 6 more games actually. You know, it's that's the only difference. But the physical nature of it is because they take so much off of our legs during camp, during practice, because they're trying to save us to make it through the season. That's not the stressful part. The stressful part is the fact that we're in meetings and on the field and doing all this mental stuff 12 hours in a day. You know, and that's where it gets hectic, and your life becomes consumed with the sport of football, with X's and O's and communicating with your teammates and trying to build chemistry and rapport. So all that stuff takes a toll on the mind. So I would say the biggest thing for me was just trying to stay focused and not allow other things to distract me from focusing on what the task at hand.
All right, thanks a lot for joining us on Sportsman Radio, Doug. I really appreciate it, and I plan on staying in touch with you, man.
Yeah, Chris, thanks for having me.